think we're good. Okay. I think this is good. Hi, everyone. I am Rebekah, and I just would like to continue reading. We are going to continue reading about the birth of Yeshua, and I am using, for this story, the Chronological Gospels, the acceptable year of the Lord, the life and 70-week ministry of the Messiah. This is actually the larger print version, and one that I just got. I have the smaller one, but smaller version, but I got this one because I like the margins I get to write in them. So definitely go to Michael Rood's website, A Rood Awakening, and get this Chronological Gospels. It's awesome. It basically takes, like I've said before, it takes the 4 Gospels and it puts them all in chronological order, so you know where Yeshua was at different times of the year. You see all the astronomical things, evidences are also documented in here, and there's tons of commentary that's awesome. But then he also has Acts in here, as well as Revelation, and Revelation is considered the 5th Gospel. So super cool, and I just wanted to continue reading here. We didn't quite finish the story of Yeshua's childhood. So it's the week of Sukkot right now. Yesterday was the first day of Sukkot, the high Shabbat, and it was Yeshua's birthday yesterday. It is the year 2018 or 6018 from creation, and he is, according to how I understand this, he is 2020 years old. Yay! Anyway, so we're going to just read for a little bit, and then I will let you go. And I'm doing this again just because I want to practice with my equipment, but also because I personally want to soak myself in the scriptures, and this is a really good way to do it with some other people, right? So I just want to read. I think it will help to get rid of a lot of confusion, just to read. Just read. Just read. Okay, so here we are. We are at event 24. Happened yesterday, or not yesterday. It didn't happen yesterday, but we read about it 2 days ago, when Herod ordered the slaughter of the innocents in and around Bethlehem. So now we're going forward. We're going to look here. Herod commands the temple guard to execute Zechariah. So this is Zechariah. This is Yohanan ben Zechariah's dad. So John the Baptist's father. It was the Feast of Hanukkah, the 25th day of the 9th month in the year 3999 from creation, December 23, 2 BCE. Zechariah is murdered while serving in the temple during Hanukkah, and Elisheva, that's Elizabeth, as a lot of us know it, Elisheva, however you say that, flees, her name, flees with their child, who is John the Baptist, or Yohanan ben Zechariah, who remains secluded in the wilderness for the next 27 years. Whoa. Okay, and so in here we have some commentary, extra biblical commentary on the murder of Zechariah. So I'm going to go ahead and read it. The Protoevangelium of James, chapter 16, 3-16. The ancient extra biblical volume. The ancient extra biblical volume, the Protoevangelium of James, preserved in Latin, maintained in Roman, justifiably suspect in some areas, records the execution of Zechariah by the temple guards under the authority of Herod. This also fits with events 142 and 174. The following record from the Protoevangelium of James is offered for your consideration. So here we go. So this is the quote from this book. It's an ancient biblical source called Protoevangelium of James. And chapter 16:3, here it is. It says, Elisheva, hearing that her son Yohanan was about to be sought, took him and went up into the mountains, looking for a place to hide him. But there was no secret place to be found. Then she groaned within herself and said, O mountain of Yehovah, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, receive the mother of this child. For Elisheva could not climb up it. Immediately the mountain was divided and received them, and there appeared to them an angel of YHVH to preserve them. But Herod made search after Yohanan, and sent servants to Zechariah when he was ministering at the altar, and said to him, "Where have you hidden your son?" He replied to them, "I am a minister of Yahweh. I am serving at the altar. How should I know where my son is?" So the servants went back and told Herod everything. Herod was incensed and said, Is not this son of his likely to become king of Israel?" He sent his servants once again to speak to Zechariah. "Tell the truth. Where is your son? Do you realize that your life is in my hands?" So the servants went and told him all these things, but Zechariah replied to them, "I am a witness for the Almighty, and if Herod sheds my blood, God will receive my soul, and you also will have shed innocent blood." Nevertheless, Zechariah was murdered between the altar and the entrance to the temple. Wow. Oh, evil man, is he not? There we go. I just enabled chat, so if you wanted to let me know. I'm not chatting with people here. I'm just reading to you, but I just put that on just in case, I don't know, some technology part isn't working, but I'm sure it's just fine. All right. Astronomical observation, the lunar eclipse, Josephus' testimony. Herod executed 2 beloved rabbis on the lunar eclipse that shortly preceded Herod's death. So the 12th day of the 10th month in the year 3999 from creation, Friday, January 10, 1 BCE. The lunar eclipse of January 10, 1 BCE is the only astronomical event in a 10-year period that fits with every biblical and Roman record and produces no contradictions. Chronologists and stargazers, both past and present, select lunar eclipses that may well fit their fanciful interpretations of the Bethlehem star, but every other eclipse of this decade produces irreconcilable problems with the biblical text and Roman historical records and produces fatal mathematical errors. So here we have a quote from Josephus. It's from Antiquities. Herod executed 2 of the most eloquent men among the Jews and most celebrated interpreters of the Jewish laws, and men well beloved by the people because of the education of their youth. For all those who were studious of virtue frequented their lectures every day. Herod deprived this Matthias of the high priesthood and burnt alive the other Matthias who had raised the sedation with his other accomplices. And that very night there was an eclipse of the moon. That was a quote from Josephus from Antiquities. So, event 25. Herod dies and Yosef is commanded to return to Israel. Joseph is Yeshua's stepdad is commanded to return to Israel. All right. Matthew 2:19 through 20. This happened in the spring of the year 4000 BC, or from creation, 4000 from creation, 1 BCE. Okay, here's the text, Matthew 2:19 to 20. When Herod was dead, the angel of Yahweh appeared to him in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, "Rise up, take the young child and his mother, and return to the land of Israel, for those who sought the child's life are dead." All right, so then he has quite a study here on pinpointing the death of Herod. So it's quite a in-depth study here. So I'm not gonna go ahead and read this because I would lose you. I would totally lose you if I tried reading this to you. But if you want to know exactly how he understood that Herod died after that eclipse of the moon, then you go right ahead and get this book. You're going to love it, this Chronological Gospels. All right, we're going to go ahead and keep going. All right, this is another note. He calls these notes in here. So when he has the extra biblical commentaries, he calls them notes. So here's another note. I don't know how you say this. This is a Herod's son, Archelaus rules in his father's place. After Herod's death, Archelaus, I'm just going to say it that way, I'm probably wrong, but Archelaus slaughters 3,000 Pharisees and disrupts Passover. Oh my gosh. First month of the Aviv, 4,000 from creation, April 1st BCE. All right, here is our extra biblical source. Josephus from Antiquities says, Archelaus thought the whole situation impossible to salvage except by checking the crowd's impulse to such a thing. So he sent out his whole army, including the Roman cavalry, to prevent those who were camped around Jerusalem from aiding those who were in the temple. Now the cavalry killed about 3,000 men, but the rest went up into the hills that lay nearby. So Archelaus proclaimed that all should return to their homes. Even those who were venturesome from lack of education left the feast of Passover, giving it up in fear of greater harm. Wow. So he like cancels Passover. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. So event 26. Yosef, Mariam, and Yeshua return from Egypt. Intending to settle in Bethlehem, but finding trouble in Judea, Joseph returns to the village of Nazareth in the district of the Gentiles in the spring of 4,000 from creation 1 BCE. All right, Matthew 2, 19 through 23. And this is kind of a repeat of what we read up here. When Herod was dead, the angel of Yahshua appeared to him in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, Rise up, take the young child and his mother, and return to the land of Israel, for those who sought the child's life are dead. So Joseph rose and took the child and his mother and returned to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus reigned in Judea in place of his father Herod, Joseph was afraid to go there. He was also warned by the Almighty in a dream to go around Judea and into the region of the Gentiles. So he went to live in the village of Nazareth. This fulfilled that which was spoken by the prophets, he shall be called a Netzer. All right, and now the commentary here. We see commentary about the region of the Gentiles. I believe that's, yes. So Isaiah 9, 1-2 refers to Galilee of the nations, in quotes, or the region of the Gentiles, which would be an eyewitness of the great light of the Messiah. Cool. And then we have another commentary here about the Netzer. Yes, okay, I'm going to read this to you. All right, the Netzer part. Remember, he shall be called a Netzer. From the town of Nazareth is where he was going to be raised. All right, the prophet Isaiah 11:1 specifically, prophesied that there would be a branch that shoots forth out of the stump of the family tree of Jesse, and out of its roots a Netzer will spring forth. A Netzer is a branch that grows out of the original root system but springs up at a later time and somewhat distant from the original trunk. So you understand that? So you have a tree. The Netzer would be like way over there, you know, the root of that tree way over there, and it would spring up and create a new tree. Okay. The prophets tell us that the Messiah, the son of David, will be a Samach, a branch out of the trunk of David. But Isaiah tells us something very specific about the Samach, I think it's Samach, in that he will be a Netzer. The Netzer will grow up out of the original root, but will be removed in time and place from the original family tree of King David. The village of Nazareth in the Galilee, a Gentile region of northern Israel, was inhabited primarily by the family of King David. Both Mariam, who was of the bloodline of King David through his son Solomon, and her husband Joseph, who was of the bloodline of King David through his son Nathan, grew up in Nazareth among their distant relatives. The people of Nazareth most likely settled in the area during the Greek occupation of Israel. They named their village in recognition of their identity as a shoot springing forth from the original root of the tree of Jesse at a distant time and place. Both Mariam and Yosef had relatives in Bethlehem, which made it easy to live there after the birth of Yeshua until they had to flee to Egypt. Upon their return from Egypt, their intention was to return to Bethlehem, but they were given divine instructions to return to Nazareth. Wow. All right. I wonder if Bethlehem was a better town to live in than Nazareth. I mean, they said, can any good thing come out of Nazareth? it must have been not a very nice place to live. So interesting. All right. Here we have another note. It's note 5. General Varus, V-A-R-U-S, Varus, suppresses the Jewish revolt. Summer of the year 4000 from creation, 1 BCE. Rome sends General Varus from Syria to quell the riots resulting from Archelaus' Passover massacre. This occurred while Archelaus was in Rome to secure his father's throne. So here we have Josephus in Antiquities makes a statement about it. So here we go. This is what Josephus says. When Archelaus sailed off to Rome and Varus went off to take care of Antioch, Sabinus advanced on Jerusalem and took the king's possessions. This is what Josephus is saying. But Varus sent part of his army around the countryside, seeking those to blame for the revolt. And when they were pointed out, he punished those who were guilty. There were also those he pardoned, but 2,000 happened to be crucified because of this accusation. Ugh. So I think this is important because it gives the history of, like, the the political landscape of what Yeshua grew up into. I mean, talk about awful. I mean, here these rulers are slaughtering people left and right, and he's born into this. I mean, these people, these kings, these whatever they were, not appointed by Papa for sure, but they just felt like they could go and just take life any old time they wanted to, and so awful. So this was the political landscape of the area that Yeshua grew up in the time. So I think it's kind of important to understand the history of this whole huge, beautiful plan that Yehovah put together. Yehovah Elohim, YHVH Elohim, Yahweh Elohim, the great one, the King of the universe, the Melchizedek Father. He, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, put together this incredible plan to make salvation possible. Wow, to make salvation possible for us. And I mean, can you imagine him watching his son descend and go into this kind of atmosphere? Oh. Yeah, but he had his eye. He didn't take his eye off his son by any means for a moment. I know that. All right. Event 27. Summary. Yeshua grows up in Nazareth, or Nazareth. See, in this book, he restores some of the words, the right Hebrew words and stuff, but I'm grew up a white girl in Western Christianity, so they don't roll off my tongue as easily as they should, but so sometimes I transliterate so I understand. Yeshua grows up in Nazareth. Luke's third summary statement. By the way, I have been to Nazareth, and oh my, what an incredible place to drive. It's crazy. You should go see our video on driving through Nazareth. Oh my goodness. All right, Luke 2:40. The child grew and was strengthened in spirit. He was filled with wisdom, and the grace of Yahuwah was upon him. Yes, filled with wisdom. Man, that's what I want. All right, event 28. That was 27. This is 28. All right, Yeshua goes up to Jerusalem for the Passover. Yeshua astonishes the Torah scholars gathered at Jerusalem for the feast Passover, the 15th to the 24th day of the first month in the year 4010 from creation, 10 CE. All right, Luke 2:41 to 51. Every year, so this is Luke 2, I'm reading from the scriptures now, Luke 2:41 to 51. Every year, Yeshua's parents went up to Jerusalem for the Feast of Passover. When he was 12 years old, they all went up to Jerusalem according to the commandment. When they had fulfilled the days of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, they returned home, but Yeshua tarried in Jerusalem, and Yosef and his mother did not realize it. All right, if you want to see where in the Torah it says that they must go up to Jerusalem for the feast, you can look in Deuteronomy 16:16. All right. They went a day's journey, supposing that he was among the caravan, before they began searching for him among their relatives and neighbors. When they could not find him, they immediately returned to Jerusalem and began seeking him there. Oh, can you imagine? This is like being a parent and having your child missing and knowing who he was and having him missing. Oh, man. Finally, after 3 days of searching, they found him sitting in the temple among the Torah sages, listening to them and asking them questions. Everyone that heard him was astonished at his understanding and his answers. But when at last his parents found him, they were amazed. And his mother said, "Son, why have you dealt with us in this way? Look at us. Your father and I have searched for you with great anguish." Yeshua replied, remember he's 12 years old, "How is it that you sought me? Did it not occur to you that it behooved me to be in my Father's house?" But they did not fully understand what he was telling them. Yeshua went down from Jerusalem with them and returned to Nazareth and was obedient to them. His mother quietly kept all of these things in her heart. Okay, so we're going to just read this commentary on what Yeshua says to his parents, because he wasn't disrespectful to them. So I feel it's very, very wonderful commentary here. So Joseph and Mariam, this is the commentary on this, okay? Yosef and Mariam had traveled an entire day without even checking to see if Yeshua was with them. I don't know, like my kids, I'm totally right there all the time, but I also did not, this was a different culture and a different age, you know, and they probably had so many relatives around, and, you know, it may have been just a different way of, you know, doing things and raising your kids, but definitely a different culture, huh? At the end of the day, they panicked when they realized he was not in the caravan. Oh, totally. My goodness. Okay, that's not in the... That's my commentary. Okay. Shh, focus. They immediately returned to Jerusalem and searched for him for the next 3 days, and no doubt sleepless nights. When they found him in the temple, they understandably lashed out at him, but he responded with a very simple question: "How did you search for me?" Their method of searching for him was the only thing that he questioned, not their right or responsibility to do so. They were the ones who had left him behind. Yeshua went to the temple where he would be safe and cared for by the priests on duty. He had been in the temple the entire time in my Father's house, quote unquote, and had to wait 4 days for them to finally look for him there. Where did they look for him during those days? If it had occurred to them to look in the temple as soon as they got back to Jerusalem, they would have saved themselves a lot of grief. They were understandably upset and were not thinking clearly. Oh, I wouldn't be thinking clearly. I'd be so upset. And then so happy that I found him. Okay, yeah, that was my commentary again. They probably did not have the t-shirt to prompt them, what would Jesus do? Oh, that's good. Verse 51 of Luke 2 instructs us that Yeshua was neither belligerent nor disobedient. He returned with them to Nazareth and continued to be subject to them. The KJV translates, "I must be about my Father's business," but there is no word business in the text. The NAS, NIV, and MRD all render it, "I had to be my Father's house," and supply the word house, which is consistent with the context. Okay, that's cool. Let's go on to the next event, and then I'm going to be done. The next event is number 29, summary. Yeshua matures into a young man in Nazareth. This is Luke's fourth summary statement. Luke 2:52, and Yeshua increased in wisdom and in stature and in favor with Yehovah and man. I like that. And Yeshua increased in wisdom and in stature and in favor with Yehovah, YHVH, the Great One, and man. And then a little commentary here. The incident at the temple in Jerusalem gives us all the information we need considering Yeshua's formative years. At the age of his bar mitzvah, his understanding of the Torah and the prophets and his answers to the most difficult questions of Torah law utterly confounded the sages of his day. The Greek version relates that Yeshua's understanding was existemi. It means completely beyond the comprehension of the Torah sages. Yeshua expounded the scriptures in a manner that left them awestruck. There is nothing more that needs to be said until the day of his mikvah 17 years later. Okay, so yeah, that's super cool. And I've heard that, you know, they were in the temple for his bat mitzvah, because he was 12 years old then. So, all right. So that's all I wanted to read to you today. And next time, perhaps, I think I'd just like to read all about Sukkot, where in the scriptures, like what Yeshua did for Sukkot, and then the, just different things about Sukkot we'll read. That's my plan. So I hope that you have a wonderful evening and rest of the Sukkot holiday, the holy days that Yehovah asked us to come apart for. So I will see you later. Or yeah, how should I do that? I should say, Yehovah Elohim bless you. Hag Sameach.